Slaying a Dragon, Part 2, The Birth of Racial Ideology.
So now we have this created made-up word, race, that has a made-up definition that means origin. So that's not really a bad thing. It shouldn't mean hate. It shouldn't mean nothing. Actually, even if the word was a real word and you put it together, racism wouldn't be a bad word. So now we're going to talk about how did it happen? How did it become, race become such a big fucking nuisance to happiness in society and the big fucking wedge between everybody? How did race become that? Well, it started out innocently, and then we're going to get into the negativity that came about. But first, we're going to talk about botanists that started the idea of categorizing things. Carlos Linnaeus. Like Carlos Linnaeus, he didn't try to make anything bad. It wasn't done in ill will. He was just trying to categorize things and put things in an order, in a specific order. So let's look at his work. But you see that date when he started doing it, 1735. He did it all the way, published it 1770. And this is just categorizing things, and it didn't no kind of high or low to it, just categorizing. And this is the category where with a table that he made to categorize things. Nothing bad, just a human. And then you have the ape more closely to human, and then he had the goddamn taxonomy of species, genus, family, order, all that. So he's known as the father of taxonomy, putting things in order, which would breed the thought of another person who likes to categorize things later on in life. That man's name is Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. Now, if you notice, Mr. Blumenbach is the father of physical anthropology. Now, Mr. Blumenbach was a German anthropologist, physiologist, and he was the one who proposed one of the earliest classifications of races of mankind. Now, this is the first time we ever got categorized. Now, Mr. Blumenbach did not hierarchy the shit. He just put it into a category. These are these type of people. Right. In physical anthropology, it says a branch of anthropology concerning the origin, evolution, and diversity of people. This is where the whole race thing comes in, finally being a thing. All right. It says physical anthropologists work broadly on three major sets of problems: human and non-human, primate evolution, and human variation, and its significances. See also race. So this is where the whole connection between origin and race starts to really take its place. It really starts to become a thing. All right, now here's a little detail about Mr. Blumenbach. It's going to say the same thing I'm trying to say to you about where the idea came from and how it grew. It's going to tell you exactly what that is. So it says Johann Friedrich Blumenbach was a prominent German anatomist and early anthropologist who played a major role in elevating science above racial prejudice and towards scientific objectivity. His dissertation on the unity of mankind, this is 1795. Why don't you put that in your mind? Now you think about this. There ain't nobody thinking about no fucking divisions or race or nothing, no kind of nothing, nobody better than nobody, none of that shit. And it's 1795. I just need you to think about all the shit that done happened in between that time. Independence War, you done wrote your goddamn articles of association and the articles of confederation. You done did through everything, the treaty. You done started the nation. You went past the Nationalization Act, and you still ain't looked down on nobody's race yet. It ain't even became an idea yet. The idea of being categorized had just started. So a little background on Mr. Blumenbach. It says one of the first classifications of mankind was made by Carl Linnaeus, one of the guys I just told you about, the father of taxonomy, and his Systema Neutra, as in 1758. It's the first time they ever got classified and categorized or anything like that with nothing but physical differences, nothing about the mental at all. So it says in this work, Linnaeus followed both continental geography and a color scheme that divided man into white European, dark Asiatic, red American, and black Negro. In the style of the times, many of the characters used by Linnaeus used to classify his races were quite subjective and unscientific, such as hopeful Europeans, sad and rigid Asiatics, irascible American natives and calm and lazy Africans. This is how the natives put his. Now, there were other people who were trying to get these divisions and stuff, and they were using unscientific ways to do so. Like here, like it says in here, it said that handsome white people, and then you had the ugly dark people. So they started using that in that way, but it was never used mentally to think that somebody deserved to be put into slavery. So it makes you wonder what the fuck slavery was all about, don't it? Kind of make you wonder. They ain't even start thinking like that yet. So this led to Charles Darwin, not Darwinism, but Charles Darwin and his natural selection and evolution theory. Now, he wasn't meaning anything bad by that shit. He was just saying that that people compete to goddamn, you're selected when you evolve. So that theory, I mean, like this one thing about the tortoises on the island with the long necks, and they said they were longer than ones on the dry because they had to adapt. So they said that those were selected through natural selection, because they were able to keep up and adapt. Now, this thought process is not Charles Darwin's thought process to humans. This became later that somebody that they took that and made it something. But you notice what this was, right? This is in 1859. Slavery has already been going on, all this right here. Nobody thought about a race being dumber than the other one or less valuable than the other. Nobody ain't thought this shit yet. And then it's still right here. Until the newspaper got involved. And a guy named Horace Greeley started speaking up, and he liked these people. Now, Horace Greeley had this type of mindset. Now, under Horace Greeley's tutelage came Karl Marx, and they just put this all together. Karl Marx, the way he was thinking. So everybody look at Horace Greeley as if Horace Greeley is such a good guy because he was an abolitionist. I'm here to tell you, look at me right now. Them abolitionists didn't give a fuck about them people. Horace Greeley didn't give a fuck, and none of them gave a fuck, not even Frederick Douglass. Now, Mr. Greeley was a prominent person. Like, everybody loved this guy. He newspaper editor, high class man, good guy. So he saved the way newspaper is. Like, today's media is what the newspaper used to be back in the day, just a big old ass clown show. They called it yellow journalism. See, yellow journalism is used as lurid features of sensationalized news in newspaper publishing to attract readers and increase circulation. Now, they did the same thing in your media today, but somebody needs to recognize that. But the TV media is doing the same thing, what they call yellow journalism, which is why you don't like it. But Greeley got rid of that shit a long time ago. Now, the reason I bring all this up about Greeley, because Greeley said things and he could make things happen. Now, Greeley changed this type of bullshit and made the media, whenever somebody read a newspaper, it was more informal, to educate them, to help them. Yeah. So here it says, Greeley says, newspapers, he argued, existed for the great work of intelligence. They existed to inform, but also to instruct and uplift, and never to entertain. So they're to be taken serious. So now when he started preaching a message or saying a message, the people around that time start taking it serious. Now, you gotta remember, Horace Greeley is around the time of the birth of the KKK and all this shit. Yeah, they all talked like that. Don't never let nobody hate nobody. They just talk like this is what they think intellectual talk was. Because even though Greeley was an abolitionist, that don't mean he liked so-called black people. So he said the dangerous idea that only white people can govern themselves. This is Horace Greeley's idea. This who put this in the idea of the so-called Klan, white camellia, this is who put that in their head. They reading the newspaper. So let's check out what he say, because he's gonna say something that's gonna spark us to our next journey. Now, remember, Greeley ran against Ulysses S. Grant for president and lost. Now, look at the top. It says, black legislators, listen, what? In Reconstruction governments were drawn from the nation's small black elites. Remember that shit, because you need to hear something. Right down at the next highlight, it says, they were robbed to support an extravagance of the nigger government, and that's who ruled over you in Reconstruction. They just don't tell you about it. But we're gonna go look at all those so-called hate groups that this whole racism thing stemmed out of, and see what their real complaints were. And then, so it's right here at the bottom, it says the Democratic Party nominee. See, now he was part of that fake ass Republican Party. They said that they switched. They didn't switch. They had a fake ass cover party. And that was the Liberal Republican Party. But if the next video don't make it, it'll be on YouTube. See you next.